everyone. Once again, it's time for Primetime Crisis. I'm Captain Logan.
Eric.
We have just a couple things we're going to talk about today. We were hoping to get to Doom Patrol, and Eric has not had a chance to watch that yet, so we may talk about that a little bit in the future, or heck, at this point, I mean, I talked about it a little bit last time. I said it's interesting. I think that first episode's worth watching. I have not seen any more since then. I think at this point, I might just wait till it's done, and if I like it well enough, I'll watch through it, and one or both of us might talk about it. So anyway, but we want to talk about the Orville two-parter and a couple of other things. So let's just start with that. So there were a couple of other episodes that we haven't talked about, and there's another one that just came out that we've not watched yet. But I just want to talk about that two-parter because it's special and it's
great.
Fantastic.
Yep.
And it's going to be hard for me not to just do nothing but gush about it.
It's everything we've been waiting for this season.
Yes, it is.
It should have been the season premiere.
Yep.
Some things need to be set up before that, but it kind of should have been the season premiere.
You've got to get Claire and Isaac set up before that,
yeah.
And I'm glad that it's not a slow burn, but it's only a couple episodes before that they start dating. But I'm glad that we got that out, that we got that set up early in the season. And they could have set it up even earlier and let them date longer. I don't know that would have been detrimental at all to the story they told. That hadn't been going on quite a bit longer. I don't even think it's that important that the kids are told in this episode. That could have even happened earlier. Probably.
It almost felt like that was there for anyone that just came in for the two-parter.
Yes. Well, it's funny because Sarah has missed some episodes this season because I watched them without her, and I started showing her the two-parter, and then realized she didn't know about Isaac and Claire yet, so we had to go back and watch that one and then go to the two-parter. But anyway, so Eric's right. It would have been nice if this had opened the season or been earlier in the season, or been the
mid-season break.
Well, and I was going to say, it's such a good cliffhanger. It, in a perfect world, because I wouldn't have wanted this whole season to be mostly bottle shows that are just about relationships and not much else and not a lot of high concepts. But in a perfect world, it actually would have been a season cliffhanger where you had to wait 3 months because it's best of both worlds good. And it is in a lot of ways, I've been thinking about this, it is in a lot of ways Orville's best of both worlds already. I keep waiting for them to do that kind of a cliffhanger over a season, and maybe they'll do that at some point, but have you had that thought that it actually is best of both worlds in a lot of ways?
Because one of the team members, or one of the crew members goes bad?
One of the crew members goes bad.
To a collective robotic.
And it's the Borg.
Yeah. But it's not it's reverse Borg.
It's their Borg, but they're not the Borg. That's exactly right. Yeah. No, they're not trying to assimilate people into a collective. They want to destroy all organic life because it's an us or them mentality, and they were oppressed by the humanoids that created them, and they think that they have to murder humanoids or that will happen to them again. And obviously, they're horrifying, but they're also really surprisingly compelling. I've never seen a Cybermen or Borg-like race that is this understandable in their extreme beliefs, like how they got there. So that first script, it's written by two sets of people, but it's really consistent and feels like one big episode. You said they are also two episodes because they're doing different things.
Yeah, the first episode and the second episode are kind of two different kinds of episodes. The second episode is kind of a fight episode, and the first episode is kind of setting everything up.
But
it's a premise episode and a fight episode.
Yeah, and it's a lot like redemption or unification in that way, right? Where you have a big setup episode, and then we set up for a big battle, and there's a big battle. But it is really consistent between the two of them. That first script is written by Brandon Braga, and I forget the other writer. I forget if it's Baramis or who it is, but it's one of the best scripts Braga has ever had his name on. And he wrote some great TNG episodes, but it's excellent. And I suspect that my favorite exchange in both parts was probably Braga's writing, although I don't know that for sure. But there was that great bit in toward the beginning where they're at. It's Kalon, right?
Yeah.
They're on the Kalon homeworld, and the Kalon are explaining that they're not sure if they want to join the Union. We find out later that is not their intention at all. Once we see the caverns and caverns of skulls,
Skeletons. Full skeletons.
Full skeletons, yeah, it's great. We find out that, or they say anyway, that they're not sure if they want to join the Union because they're afraid that humanity is going to backtrack where we've made a lot of progress, but they say that, and I've never heard it put quite like this, where the history of our planet is a cycle where we oscillate between enlightenment and being barbarians.
Tyranny, isn't it?
Tyranny, I think, is what they say. Yeah,
enlightenment and tyranny.
And so, how do you know that even though you look enlightened now, you're not going to go back on that? That's what you always do, and we're always in danger of that because that's the human condition. There is nothing more Star Trek than that, and
we should also mention this is not these are not comedy episodes. Like, there's some levity, but no more than there would be in Star Trek.
No, and yet some of the funniest stuff in the series is in these episodes, but they're not comedy episodes. Because that whole thing about Bortus wanting the corner piece of a cake is just hysterical.
And also when they're going through Isaac's archives, where they're like, "What's this about them putting like a nose and eyes on his face?"
Potato thing?
Yeah.
And then Mercer goes, "Well, but then he cut his leg off, so it kind of came out even." It's great. McFarlane's delivery is the best. The atmosphere of this is just wonderful.
Yeah.
Especially in that first part. Like, I was on the edge of my seat through this.
Well, and
couldn't call it. Was not sure where it was going.
They do one of the best, because I hate the we don't see what the character sees, and then like it doesn't pay off. Like, oftentimes you're like somebody's face is like, "Oh my god," and then when you come back to it, you're like, "Oh, this is a dead body." This
was masterful. This was the best of those.
They did it twice and it worked both times.
And that's why it was brilliant. Yeah, it's amazing. Well, and because they kept peeling back on the same thing. So we reveal that the Kaelon destroyed their makers. We've got characters in I forget exactly who. There's an away team and there's characters in the cave, and we I think it's
it's a kid, isn't it?
No, It's Tala, I think.
Okay.
And we get, I think, I'm forgetting. I think maybe he sees it first. I think you're right. I think he goes in and he sees it first. Because he goes into one of the, it's too convenient that the kid's able to get off the ship.
It is.
You'd think that would be all locked down. That's weird. And also weird that he could get into that trash can thing and go down that.
It very conveniently opens.
Yeah, it very conveniently opens. But anyway, so I guess for anything moving, it opens. But anyway, so but somebody like looks off and he's horrified, and we don't see what it is right away, and then we see it, and then it's like a mountain of skeletons.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my god. And then I think it's the second thing where it's Tala. I think Tala's the double beat.
Yeah.
Where I think it's Tala. We get on her, and she's like, whoa. And
we're seeing, like, right behind her is that mountain of skeletons we saw the first time. She's like, oh my god.
And we cut again, and then we cut to another scene, and I just look at Eric, and I'm like, really? Like, what could they possibly show me after doing that device the first time? Mm-hmm. And it blew me away.
Mountains and mountains of skeletons.
I was like, okay, that's... Yep, you got me.
Yep,
you win.
That was great.
That's great. Eric, now that we know that this is possible, they can do whatever, and I will trust them.
Because they'll go back to this place again.
Yeah. This show will go to this place, and I am no longer as concerned about the number of bottle shows this season and doing as much. Like
it almost feels like they saved up the budget for this episode.
And it almost feels like they wanted to do more sitcom-y episodes and more just character drama episodes so that you wouldn't see this coming. And it's a risk because they had to keep me engaged enough to watch this, and I was like, well, it's the same show it was last season. I don't feel like they're really pushing any boundaries. I don't feel like they're really doing a lot new, but I'm enjoying it, so I'll keep watching it. My tune is completely different after this, and they could do the exact same stuff they've done all season 10 more times, and I will trust them.
Well, and we were also complaining about how, like, so many episodes, like, are undone by the last 2 minutes. Like, we kept being like, yeah, it's good, but then the last 2 minutes, this doesn't have that at all.
It all works.
It all works.
It completely pays off. I mean, there's like little minor things, but like
the kid.
Like conceptually and everything, it all totally works. And like, again, the Kalon is such a good bad guy race. And when we say this is what we've been wanting the whole time, I don't mean giant space battle. We will talk about the space battle, because holy crap.
Yeah.
But I don't mean giant space battle. I don't even mean epic scale, although I was hoping for that eventually. The bigger thing for me was freaking space politics.
Yeah.
It's just like, we keep talking about, Bortus's race, but, and like, we went to Tala's homeworld, but, with what's-her-face who left. But it's but like, where's my like, impending Romulan war, or like the Klingons who are like off again, on again allies.
We're kind of doing that the Krill now, which is interesting.
Yeah, and this was just head on. We finally did all that stuff.
Yep.
In one episode, and it didn't feel forced, and it didn't feel rushed, and it was just exactly the time to do it.
Almeida.
The way, yeah, I was so sad about that. So we finally do a sister ship, which I don't think we've seen at all in this show. A lot of firsts for the show that are big major Star Trek tropes that usually you would have by now. We're a season and a half in. We hadn't had a sister ship yet. We hadn't had a giant kill everything space battle yet, and the biggest thing is, we hadn't had a boarding episode yet.
Yeah.
We hadn't been taken over yet.
Yep.
And we did it in the best way possible. Like, there's a lot of boarding episodes in Star Trek where, like, I'm yawning. And it's just like, I don't feel like these people, like the Kazon in Voyager, I'm like, I don't feel like these people should have been able to take over the ship. Not so with the Kalon. Like, that whole thing was great. Oh, they've got like the guns that pop up on the sides of their head.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm just waiting for Isaac to do that again.
Yep.
Down the road.
Now.
But yeah, so we get the space politics, and the way they bring the Krill in is brilliant. And I think the guy that the lead Krill is going to become our recurring Krill. We haven't had a big we had one, but like, I think we'll see him more often.
And he was someone, right? Like, I was like, we were both like, he's really familiar, and we looked him up.
Yeah, he was in what is that movie that we did for he made me watch last time? You said that he was in
what did we do for me?
Chronicles of Riddick.
Oh, he's Tooms. He's Tooms from Chronicles of Riddick, and I love him. He's so arch, and like it's great. It's great. No, you're right. Yeah, he's Tooms from Chronicles of Riddick, and I love Tooms from Chronicles of Riddick.
He feels like a guy he feels like an actor you got to pull back.
Yeah. So I'm totally fine with him being the recurring Krill, because he's great. And I love him.
He's going to be the Tomalak of the show. The recurring Romulan in
TNG,
who's played by the guy from Babylon 5. I think he's going to be that guy, except more on our side, maybe, more often. But anyway, I cannot get my mind around that space battle.
No,
I cannot believe that was on Fox and on this show. I'm still reeling about it.
I said while we were watching it, I was like, I think this might be the best space battle I've seen since Return of the Jedi, which then made me realize that Return of the Jedi is my favorite space battle of all time. Like, I'd never thought in those terms, so I was like, oh yeah, Return of the Jedi is the best space battle we've ever put to film.
It sounds insanely hyperbolic, but guys, if you've not seen it, just watch it. How is this not in the big screen? It's big screen worthy.
I would go see this in theaters, the two-parter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, it is as good, or it's up there with the Return of the Jedi space battle. It's amazing. We remember that we're in fourth dimensional space, not three dimensional space. It's not this, which is what we often do. It's this. And people are coming up like this while they're going this way, and like it's completely fourth. We always forget fourth dimension.
Yeah, and I mean, like, well, you say that we don't in DS9. I mean, like, you haven't gotten to the later space battles in that show. Like, we do some of this.
Well, but even like
this
Guardians.
this is on a scale, man.
Yeah. But even like Guardians, like it's a lot of ships like this, shooting at each other and going past each other like this.
One big thing I want to know is if any of that space battle was done with model work, because we know they use models in the show, and what I've heard is that they use them primarily just for like the ship flying across shots, the really easy stuff. They made an Orville and they shoot it. I don't know if they have models for any of the other ships, but if they didn't, it's very, I mean, it's impressive anyway, but it's very impressive that they've got that much going on with, if it's all CG, and that there's not a frame of it that looks unreal to me.
Nope.
And they just keep adding stuff to it.
Looks great.
And because I know what the stakes are and I care, it's not just a mindless, like, just watch everything blow up space battle. Like, they're really careful about what exactly is going on, and like it's just
it's not chaos. You never feel lost.
There's so much care in every aspect of this. Like if you've never watched this show, like. And I do this with Best of Both Worlds with TNG, like, you will have seen the best thing they've made, but if you don't trust that this is as good as TNG or some other Star Trek, but you've been curious about it because we keep talking about it or whatever,
just watch the two-parter.
Watch the two-parter.
Yeah.
It's insane. There's a part in that space battle where Mercer or somebody is like, the Kaylon are sending out 5 of their circular ships. And then in the middle of the space battle, you see exactly 5 come out. I mean, like they're tracking it. You know, we're keeping track of exactly what's going on. And just when you thought it couldn't get crazier and more exciting, then the Krill show up. And then you got all these Krill ships in the middle of the battle. And we do that with Klingons a lot, you know, where it's like, with Klingons a lot, where it's like, oh man, we're going to die, we're going to lose, what's going to happen? Oh, reinforcements, and the Klingons going to help us. We do that with the Krill. And then in the middle of that, when you really don't think it could get any crazier, then they send out their attack fighters from the Krill ships. I don't come to these kinds of shows for the space battles, but when they rock, I stay for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, it's great.
How did you feel about where we left everything with Isaac at the end? Because I know there was a part of you that wanted him to be evil.
I wanted Isaac to be evil because we never do that. We always, the humanity rises and like they never stay bad, and that's exactly what we did. I don't know if I buy it, but this show gets away with it.
But I mean, it is your optimistic Star Trek show. Like I feel like they kind of had to do that.
Yeah, but it's coding. Like I don't.
What do you mean?
Like he's a robot. He doesn't have emotions and feelings. It's weird that he's able to overcome that much.
I don't agree.
Okay.
Because of what we learn about the Kaylon in this. Because we're told that they became self-aware and killed their makers.
Which is a choice.
Yeah. And I don't know where the line ends up being drawn between self-awareness and emotion. But with a lot of Isaac stories, we've been talking a lot about the line between programming and like emotions or having a soul or something, and they've been making a really good case for, with Isaac, those being so close to the same thing it almost doesn't matter. I found myself really buying it.
Okay. I don't
ultimately
not buy it, but it definitely feels easier. So I don't know. It just feels like how we always treat those things, and so I was like this isn't a show that's like completely subverting everything. So like it was fine. Like I'm disappointed because it's what we always do. It's not that I don't buy it. It's just like that's what we always do. And I was kind of hoping we would not do that.
Yeah. It would have been difficult to go with that ending, especially this season because we already got rid of a main character. But it would have been difficult to go for that ending and not look like dark for the sake of dark. Because we just subverted the audience's expectations by letting the Doctor date him instead of that ending with, well, that can't work out. And I don't feel like in that show you can get away with he's evil.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? Or you shouldn't expect it. They are clearly going a direction with him. Like, I never in a million years thought that they would make him go, or if he went evil, that he would stay that way. It is as good as most Star Trek two-parters. And it is more even than most of them.
It's more even than most two-parters. We've had this conversation before where most two-parters, the second half isn't as strong. I think what they were really smart... I think they were really smart because it is 2 episodes. Yeah. It's one story that's 2 episodes.
But there are a lot of Star Trek two-parters that do that too, and that ends up kind of getting them into trouble, where there's somebody else that comes in and writes the second part, and they're just kind of going the wrong direction with it. This just felt really mapped out, and like it knew what it wanted to do and where it was going. But yeah, I just can't say enough good things about it. I've watched it twice already.
It's really good.
I want to go sit down and watch it again. I mean, it's so good, and really good as a piece. Like, you're right, it's 2 different episodes, but like,
it's more like a 2-act.
It will be one of the more rewatchable episodes of that show. It feels like a movie in the right kind of way. Eric, you wanted to talk about Dragon Ball Super.
I do want to talk about Dragon Ball Super.
Why don't you do that?
So I've been working my way through Dragon Ball Super. I have finished these two, and I'm a little bit into this one. This is going to be mostly brief. So, first of all, I don't like how they release these. So, Dragon Ball Super, the first 2 arcs are retelling movies that we already had. So, it retells Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, which I never liked in the first place, but if that's what you're going to do, I guess that's what you're going to do. What I don't like is, this isn't all of Battle of Gods, it continues into this. And then this isn't all of Resurrection F, it continues into this. I would have cut the DVD episodes by the arcs, at least for those first 2, because if you've seen those movies, these are almost skippable, because it's just retelling those movies with more episodes. So it's almost, these are almost skippable. There's a little bit of stuff that's set up for context for later stuff that's in these that weren't in the movies. And there's some subplots in the Frieza one. There's a fun thing where we finally bring back Captain Ginyu, who's been missing forever. And he switches bodies again. It's kind of fun, but I don't think there's ever a need to watch these if you have the movies. I don't feel like you get if you haven't watched the movies and you're just watching Super. I think that's fine, but the extra runtime I don't think actually adds anything. And specifically the Frieza one, it's kind of a bummer that we don't have the F song by Maximum the Hormone. So these are good if you haven't seen the movies. If you have, it's kind of what I thought it was going to be, which is, okay, so this is the movies, but it takes 12 episodes.
Which is weird, because wouldn't you figure most fans of that would have watched the movies? Like,
yeah.
Who's that for?
I don't know.
For people who want to watch a lengthy TV show but not spend the time to watch an hour-and-a-half movie?
Yeah.
I think that's weird.
I don't know, especially because the movies were written by Akira Toriyama, the creator, and so, like, these are the same stories, but, like, it's not his script.
Doesn't it make more sense to adapt the other way, where you take a season of TV and you'd make it a movie for people who don't want to have to sit through that TV show?
Yeah. And we don't know, because I talked about Broly last time.
Yeah.
So Super is currently on hiatus or something. Nobody knew if Super was over or not. Like, it got to the end of the arc, and then Broly came out, and we didn't know until shortly after Broly came out if there would even be more Super. There will be more Super. I don't know if they're going to adapt Broly as well. Or if, like, you'll get so far into Super, and then you have to watch a movie across 12 episodes again. I don't know.
So those are in different canons?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or does it know?
It does. So, like, this is what's canon for Dragon Ball Super.
Okay.
But it'll be weird if we don't do it with Broly, because that means you watch the show, and then you watch the Broly movie, and then you jump back to the show, but we didn't do that with these two, so I don't know. The one thing I will say, if anyone's watched these live and doesn't have the DVDs, there are 2 episodes in particular that are very famously had really bad animation at certain points. I think episode 3 or 4 of season 1 had, like, awful animation, and they fixed those for the DVD releases. They went back and they fixed them. And in this one I've only started, which is the first new original arc, which is a tournament. And I love tournaments. It's not great so far, which is disappointing, because... So I was talking to a coworker about this, and I was like, it kind of feels like the Otherworld tournament, which was a filler arc in Dragon Ball Z. I was like, it's not bad, but, like, after sitting through 2 arcs that I'd already seen before, I was ready for it to get going. Yeah. And it's not getting going. And he's like, well, that's the warm-up arc, so you can get to the real crazy stuff in the next arc. And I was like, but I sat through 2 arcs that I'd already seen before. I don't think you get to have a warm-up arc.
Yeah. So,
it's good, what I've watched of it so far, and, like, it's fun, but, like, I'm ready for it to start, finally. The one major criticism I'll have is, so there's a point where Goku's in the tournament, so we find out in the Battle of God stuff that there are multiple universes within the Dragon Ball universe. There are 7 universes, and we never knew that before. And so there's a tournament between the universe 6 and 7, just to see who's, got the best fighters. And I don't like how they do the Super Saiyan thing. It really annoys me because we are so far up with transformations and, like, power-ups. I think it's annoying to keep staying at base level and slowly work your way up. Like, I get not going max right away, but, like, Goku has 3 transformations before Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyan Blue. I don't want to watch Goku fight normal and then gradually go up to Super Saiyan, and then Super Saiyan 2, and then Super Saiyan 3, and then Super Saiyan... start at Super Saiyan 3 or something. Like, you don't have to start at the top, but he should step into the ring Super Saiyan. But so Goku loses, like, immediately. In his first match, he loses. And he's fighting against a guy that's like Frieza, but from another dimension, and that's kind of brilliant comedically, because he's the inverse of Frieza, where, like, he's super pacifistic, and, like, he's charitable, and, like, he has, like there's a point during the fight where he's like, I'll encourage myself with the speech I encouraged all of my orphans with, because he's got, like, orphan centers. And you find out he's just as evil and wicked as Frieza, he's just doing it on the down low, and has, like, a public face that he's been building up, and he's cheating in the tournament. So Goku fights him and gets knocked out of the ring and loses. Goku's voice actor, who's like that's my Goku voice actor, like that's who I waited for the DVDs because I didn't want to watch it in Japanese because I know the English voice actors. His playing of Goku when he gets knocked out of the ring, I didn't know what was happening, because, and I talked to someone where they were like, I was talking to my friend at work, and he was like, well, I took it as Goku is just such a good sport and just loves fighting, and, like, he's just here for the fun of it, that he wasn't bothered by the fact that he lost. I was like, okay, but the way he played it, he was laying it on so thick to me, it felt like Goku had a plan, and that there was something bigger that we didn't know. Now, Goku lost because of cheating, so he gets back in the tournament, but Goku didn't know that. Like, it's like, we do this more in cartoons than we do in live action, but you know, like, when a character is, like, bluffing and they play it up real big, like, oh no, like, I couldn't possibly go behind that door. It felt like that. It didn't feel like Goku
dumb down everybody else around so they don't notice.
Yeah, it didn't feel like Goku being earnest and, like, just being okay with losing. I thought something bigger was happening behind the scenes. Nope, it's just Goku's just that good of a sport. But I didn't get that from the voice performance, and I feel like that's a problem.
Yeah, that's weird.
But it's good. The fights are good. I'm waiting for, like, the big stuff. I know the next arc after this is supposed to be, like, where stuff gets real. And, like, that's when we finally do, like, a big story with, like, a villain that wants to end the universe. And the first two, I mean, the second one's, Frieza's kind of like that, but, like, I already saw it. It's the first big thing for me watching it, because I've already seen the first two seasons. So, if anybody cares, like, it's good, you know. I'm just waiting for it to, like, get really good. Like, I'm just waiting for that. I feel like I've been treading water for a while watching this.
Sure.
I'm ready to not be treading water anymore. I'm ready to get to the main event. So
that's a lot of hours of TV to be just kind of waiting for things to get rolling.
Yeah, I grew up on Dragon Ball Z, and it's like I'm kind of used to that. Although usually it's just big things are happening just across the course of, like, 20 episodes. Like, it's moving at a clip for episodes, and the first two I've watched over the course of, like, 2 or 3 months. Just because I didn't
felt
care.
longer.
Yeah, well, but I was also, like, I wasn't rushing, but, like, now that I'm to the good stuff, I'm like, okay, or I'm to the new stuff, I'm like, okay, when does it get really, really good? So,
yeah.
I like it. It's just not great yet. I'm waiting for it to get, like, great.
So we've got, a little bit more omnibus left to do, and it's pretty late. I'm going to go ahead and end off Crisis here. I had a couple other things that I could have talked about, but I was going to talk about Beast Morphers. I discussed that quite a bit on the Captain Logan show last week.
I forgot to watch that.
Yeah, and since you didn't watch it...
Did you say it got pulled from YouTube?
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you. I don't want to spoil too much for you, so I don't really want to talk about it right now. And I haven't watched past the first episode, but I think it's really good, so, or at least what I saw of it. So I want to eventually talk more about that, but let's go ahead and move on for now. So Eric and I are gonna, and also eventually I want to maybe tackle Umbrella Academy also, which I have not had a chance to sit down and start watching yet. And that is short, and that first season is
episodes or something,
dropped. Right? So I think if we talk about that, we should just talk about it when we've watched it.
Yeah.
So it may be down the road. It might be a month or two, but we'll talk about that when we've watched it. We'll be late on things, but you'll get to hear us talk about the whole thing. So anyway, not promising anything, but I kind of want to tackle that at some point. Okay, so next up we are gonna do He Made Me Watch. We had 2 movies for He Made Me Watch. We're gonna talk about this real briefly here in just a little bit. If you are watching the Omnibus playlist, just keep it rolling and you can see that. If you don't know about the Omnibus playlist, click the link in the description and that will let you see everything we have posted already and have not posted yet. And you can skip around or watch from beginning to end. And in the meantime, I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And thanks for watching.